At the end of the day, the reason why most of us work is actually to become financially free. Yes, the money is great, but really having the freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want is really the name of the game. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you some of my best tips when it comes to building the right habits in order for you to become financially free. Now, this is gonna be especially useful if you're someone who maybe feels stuck. Maybe you're working in a job that you don't necessarily like and you don't really see a future in it. Maybe you're not even sure what you should do. So I'm gonna share with you my perspective of how I was able to become more financially free, or really just have freedom in general, and hopefully pass those tips to you. Now, the first tip that I have for you is actually learning how to sell. So after I graduated from school, the first thing I did was learn how to sell by working at Oracle. I wasn't really particularly excited to sell Oracle products per se, right? Because it's just like B2B enterprise software, which is cool, but not like super exciting. The reason why I joined that company was to learn the skill set of selling, because I've realized if you know how to sell, technically you can sell literally anything, whether it's a software, service, any type of product, selling experiences. Every single business needs some kind of sale. So if you're able to do those things, then you don't really have to worry about money, right? And so when you are able to generate income, you don't have to rely on anybody else. You can go out there, work for any company, or even work for yourself. In that way, it's very freeing knowing that no matter what happens, you have the ability to sell. So when it comes to developing the habit, there's different ways of selling. It's all really dependent on your skill set, right? So if you're really good at talking with people, or you want to develop that skill, then B2B sales makes a lot of sense. So for example, people who are starting a social media marketing agency, well, they have to go out there and convince a client to sign with them, right? So that's that B2B sales game. Now, if you're not really good at talking to people, you can be a copywriter, selling with words, for example, or maybe you're really good at selling through affiliate marketing, which is in a way selling with words, right? I mean, at the end of the day, sales is the transfer of belief, right? It's like you believe in something so much and you're trying to get the other person to believe in it as well. How I would practice is actually just one, either get a sales job, or number two, just communicate with people. Share your ideas, right? And don't be timid about sharing your philosophies and views and opinions about life, worrying about what other people think, right? That's the habit you need, whether it's written or verbally doing it. That's the skill set right there. Now, the next habit that I have for you is really learning how to network. And I really learned this recently, especially as I got more into the crypto, NFT, Web3 side of things, right? Which is where I spend actually a majority of my time. Crypto moves like 10 times as fast as any other like Web2 industry. Every week, there's like major changes in the space. If you're not up to date with what's going on, you're basically left behind and you're not going to succeed, right? And that's how the game goes. So it's all about speed of information. How quickly are you able to get the right information at the right time in order to make the right move or position yourself in the right way where you have a strategic advantage, right? And so, for example, in the crypto space, because the narratives of what sells and what works changes literally every week, by knowing certain founders or knowing certain VCs or certain people who know things that other people don't know, and you cannot Google this information, that can mean the world of a difference, right? And so it can be applied to literally anything in life. Now, for things that are more saturated, like a social media marketing agency, a lot of people have similar information, right? Sometimes if you're at a higher level mastermind stuff, maybe you're going to get some deeper insights, and that's why people pay so much money, like $25,000 a year to join a mastermind, right? And I get the value of that. Having the right network, people sharing the right information, you having value in sharing information as well, will actually get you in the door with that. And so networking is key. I mean, personally, for me, what worked really well is just building the habit of creating content. So content you see right here, content you see on my Twitter, content you see on my other YouTube channel, The Parallax, which is more focused on NFTs and Web3. But for me personally, by building all this content and goodwill and sharing good information, I actually get people reaching out to me in my Twitter DMs, and that's how I've been able to network. Building an audience is one way, but I understand people are beginning. So the other way to do it is really just to provide value in some way, and you don't necessarily have to have 1 million followers. If you have some kind of value that solves problems that people have, then even if you have 100 followers, they're willing to talk to you, assuming if you get the messaging right. And that messaging really determines by your ability to sell. So that's why I said the first habit you should develop is learning how to sell. The second one is learning how to network, being at the right place at the right time, working with the right people, because that can literally change your life. When it comes to like consuming content, right? We all, watch YouTube videos, maybe it's Instagram, TikTok shorts, whatever it is, right? The challenge that most people have is that they kind of just get addicted to watching these videos without intention. What actually will help you even further is that the content that you consume, whether it's your entertainment or whatever, if you're able to connect that to your ability to create, whether it's like creating content or creating work or whatever it is, that's the key there, right? So for example, if let's say you're a big fan of anime, right? I'm a big fan of anime. Well, there's a lot of like transitions and cool things and animes that happen that you can actually apply into content. And so when I create, NFT projects, or I help consult clients and stuff like that, I'm always referencing like anime, hip hop, or like whatever it is that I'm interested in at the time, and implementing it in my work so that not only am I consuming content I enjoy, but the thing that I consume consume, I can actually use it and actually create a better product which I can sell. When you do consume intentionally and understand the difference between escapism and you're just trying to kind of like zone out, which is fine. But also if you're like spending extra time, are you consuming things that will actually make you a better creator? Are you reading different books that will actually make you think a little more differently and actually allow you to create better products and services? So consuming to create with that intention, even if it's not 100% there, maybe if it's like 50% there, that's better than 100% of just consumption and just being a consumer and just consuming and spending money. Yeah, you have to be able to create. And by getting into that habit, you start gravitating towards certain things that will actually help you in your life. The things that you watch, the things you consume, even if it's entertainment, can actually help you versus just like hurt you and just get you stuck in a rut, in a loop where you're not really doing anything. So a really interesting tip is like when you find a creator that you really like, or maybe it's an anime or a TV show or something, try to reverse engineer why you like that. Is it the lighting that's really good, the sound production, the story that they tell, right? Because even if you're watching like a Hollywood movie, for example, they are still telling stories, right? And at the end of the movie, if you feel inspired, like, oh wow, that was really something I could relate to, capture that feeling in a bottle, try to really dissect that and see like the next time you make a YouTube video, how do you capture that same emotion? And so reverse engineer the things that you like, break it down into pieces and take the variables that are applicable to whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's your business or you apply it to work, and then use it from there. The next habit I have for you is actually super important. It sounds so obvious. Now I know when especially when you're younger and you're coming up and you're increasing your spending power, maybe you're increasing your income, you got a better job, maybe you're making money in your business, whatever the case is. A lot of times the mistake, and even the mistake I made in the past, is that you upgrade your lifestyle too fast to kind of match proportionally to how much money you make. So let's say you make an extra 50% this month. You might be tempted to be like, all right, now I'm going to ball out on a dinner, or I'm going to ball out on this, I'm going to buy this watch, or whatever the case is, right? It's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. Let's say you're making $100,000 a year and at the end you actually save nothing. Yeah, you enjoyed your life, but at the same time you have nothing to show for it because you spent it all. If you get more advanced, there's different ways to allocate and stuff like that. But for people who are just starting out, just make it simple. Have a savings account and then a percentage of everything you make, just put it in there and just say like, no matter what happens, I'm not spending it on personal stuff. I'm not even going to spend it for business allocations things. I'm just going to keep it there and stack my money. And then you have a separate account where it's maybe your checking account, and that's the money you use to operate your business or whatever the case is. But if you have that, you know that for sure you will not spend it. And that's just a simple way to get started. And once you have a chunk of it, then you're like, all right, how do I allocate in the proper way in order to generate more money instead of it just sitting there, right? All right, so the last tip I have for you is actually to practice confidence. Where I see people actually being held back in their life, and this is just my observation of friends, acquaintances, people in general. A lot of times the reason why people don't maximize their potential is because they're actually afraid that they can't do it, or they're afraid of failure. Practicing confidence, or I would even argue it's actually practicing courage, is actually the key to pushing yourself farther than you thought possible, right? And to me, courage is doing the thing that you know you should do, but you're afraid to do it, but you still find the courage to do it even though you're afraid. I see a lot of people out there, they want to do the thing, they know they should do this, they know that they should talk to that person, they know they should reach out to this person, but they just don't do the thing because they're afraid and don't have the courage. By practicing courage, maybe little things in your everyday life can actually help you become more confident in yourself. And when you become more confident in yourself, you feel like you can do anything. And for me, I feel like I can do anything. If I set a goal and I feel like it's realistic but ambitious enough for me to actually want to spend time on it, I feel very confident that I can do it. So the question is whether or not I can or cannot do it. I always know I can do it. The question is, am I willing to sacrifice my time and energy and resources in order to achieve that goal? But that's a whole different mindset of saying like, you can do it, but do you want to do it? Every like opportunity in your life, you really become conscious of like the thing that you want to do but you're afraid to do. Whether it's like making small talk with a cute girl you see in the elevator. Some people are so scared of doing that, but really, is that really that big of a deal? Or is it a posting that YouTube video that you're not really sure people are going to like it because you talked about a lot of controversial things? How about just post it and who cares what happens, right? Maybe it doesn't get many views, maybe people get haters, doesn't really matter. By doing these little things, as stacking up your confidence, you realize that a lot of times the things that we're afraid of are actually illogical, right? We're actually afraid of the unknown. We're afraid of what could happen instead of being realistic of like, hey, even if we did it, even if that thing we're afraid of actually happened, nothing in our life will probably end up bad. What you're afraid of, understanding that if it happens and that it actually isn't going to kill you or ruin your life or anything like that, suddenly you're not afraid anymore. And then when you actually do it and you take small steps at a time, you start to build confidence over time. And then eventually you're going to get to that point where you're going to make a big swing and go for something more riskier, more higher reward. It's going to take a lot of courage and effort to do that, but you'll be ready to do that in that moment if you stack up that confidence. Now, if if you're someone that always hides and you're afraid, you don't want to talk, you don't raise your hand and, ask the question, or you don't want to do that public speaking when someone's looking for a leader, right? Then you're not going to build that confidence in order to do the thing at the right moment. Now, this whole video is all about being financially free and things like that. But in reality, to become financially free, you actually just have to become a better person, right? So all the things we touched on, learning how to sell, learning how to network, learning how to create. Don't waste your money. Practicing courage. Life is actually very simple. It's just that human beings overcomplicate it. But if you do these things, you're going to have more freedom in your life. You're going to have more confidence. You're probably going to have more financial freedom because you are the person that deserves it. And so that's really the key here. It's the life that you want to live and the life that you have. It's the life that you earn. So if you haven't really earned it, then you can't really complain because you haven't done the things in character development to actually be the person that earns it. Now, if you do all these things and plus more and you just become a stand-up person, it would be surprising if you didn't have financial freedom. So it's all about looking toward yourself for the answer, not necessarily looking at externals of why you cannot do something, but looking at inside and kind of realizing that you should become the person that deserves these things, right? So that's really the key to all of it. So if you enjoyed it, make sure to give a like, subscribe, turn on notifications. And if you want to learn more about sales, especially because that's the first fundamental of this, make sure to check out my masterclass at saleslegacy.com, where I'm going to teach you everything you need to know when it comes to sales, whether you're starting your own business, consultant, coach, or even if you're working as a salesperson like tech sales like I did. It's going to show you everything you need to know right there, saleslegacy.com. And I will see you in the next one.